The capital city of Toma, Skybridge, a home to more than 50,000 of people, mostly humans, but this is a place known to be very welcoming to everyone since its very beginning. It's quite common to see whole districts that are easy to differentiate from each other due to the diversity of their architecture. There are no specific places where only elves, dwarves, or halflings reside, but it's very easy to spot which place was built by who. On the other hand, the more you go towards the city center, it all starts to blend in. Only one building stands out there: the Skybridge. Hence the name of the city. It makes a hard not to spot shadow, which for the most time during the day covers even a quarter of the whole city. And so, in many places, nightlights are lit during this time. From the inside of the city, the Skybridge looks just like a big monument, a symbol of peace with many markings that resemble this land's parts of culture. On top of it, the King's Palace, barely visible from down below. The most beautiful part of it is seen from outside the city walls. The Skybridge. While it doesn't reach the clouds, it's still a great and impressive structure. Especially a nice sight during the current sunset. But for now, it's not what catches the rogue's attention. As he walks through the road, he gazes upon the city walls. Tall and strong, they prevent anything from entering or going out. And then the wooden gates, all closed. A sight not to be expected from this city. The rogue simply goes in front of the first gate he sees and is pleasantly welcomed by one guard standing on a small tower attached to the wall.
Halt! The city is now closed for outsiders. Only merchants are allowed inside. State your purpose, traveler, or be gone.
The rogue doesn't look up at the guard and raises his head only slightly.
Is this not a place to find respite after a long day's journey? If you seek a place to sleep, you've came at the wrong time, buddy.
What could be a better time than the nightfall closing in?
Ha! Tough luck.
The guard whistled and soon after, one more came, but outside, from the small door inside the gate. As he approaches the rogue, he also comes closer. The guard on the tower loses sight of them and tries to lean out of it. The guard before the gate points his spear towards the rogue.
Make another step and tonight you'll be sleeping with the dead.
The rogue stops, slowly, raising his hands.
Ha! Good. You're not as stupid as you seem. What's in the basket? Open it.
It's empty. I've came here to buy food and medicine. Look at me. The rogue stares into the eyes of the guard, who sees a deformed and hideous visage. Rogue's eyes gleam with dark, vivid orange. The guard looks into them, frightened at first, but then he becomes blissful and abnormally calm. His weapon is slowly lowered as the rogue comes closer to him and raises the basket's lid only for a split second, not showing it to the guard.
See? It's empty. I'm only a sick man who wants to find help in the city. You surely will let me look for the medicine.
For a quick moment, the rogue's eyes flicker with a pale violet color and then go back to normal. At the same time, the guard regains his senses.
Ah! Yes, of course. Oh, fine, you may enter the city.
The guard on the tower, still trying to see them, asks out loud in disbelief.
Really? You sure about that? He had weapons on himself. Yes, he doesn't seem dangerous at all. His blades look old and dull, he doesn't possess anything suspicious. Well, if you say so. Did you check him with silver? Right, sorry about that. How could I forget? Are you fine with this, sir?
The guard pulls out a spoon from his pouch. A silver spoon. When he gestures with it towards the rogue, he nods in reply. The guard then puts the spoon to the rogue's arm, holds it for a few seconds.
He's not a true blood, all clear. Here, sir, come with me. Jeez, man, what got into you today? You're never this kind.
The entrance in the gate opens and the rogue is let in. On the other side, few other guards waiting and watching the door. As they see the rogue, they all seem confused. They send a questioning sight to the guard outside as he acts completely normal. The rogue then proceeds to go deeper into the city, uninterrupted. While the hour is late, there are still many people around. When the rogue started to look for a different path, a strange pain struck him out of nowhere. His whole body stings as if he was wounded by hundreds of blades. Then his chest, it hurts, as if it was being crushed by unimaginable force. Then the head, like someone just hit him with a club to the back. He feels dizzy, weak. At the same time, his senses remain sharp. He feels the danger coming, but why right now? He sees the first corner, makes it into a cramped valley, and there's no person inside. As he goes through it, the pain becomes stronger, unbearable at some points. Every few steps, he hits the closest wall, crouches to avoid tripping, and tries to stay focused, and not to hurt the child on his back in the process. And then, some people enter the alley. Torn and ragged clothes, some hard pieces of leather, scarves on their faces. Ruffians. 9 of them. They hold crude and rusty weapons, laughing to themselves as they see the rogue with one knee on the ground, tired from the pain. Few men from the crowd come closer, one step away from the rogue. One of them puts his club to the rogue's chin and raises his head with it.
Well, well, well. What do we have here? Nice clothes, old man. Too fancy for someone like ya.
Other bandits start touching the rogue's cloak, looking at his weapons and still laughing to themselves, mocking their prey.
Not wise to come around these parts. You saved us some time, though. I thought we'd have to follow you much longer than that. Check his basket, boys. Maybe this old piece of crap has something else valuable on him.
As 2 men reach to take the basket, the rogue tries to move and prevent it. A knife is then put to his neck, by the bandit holding a club to him. And so, the rogue stops moving.
Huh? What do you think you're doing? You're at our mercy, old man. If you want to live, behave.
The knife now stings the rogue's neck, but he doesn't flinch at all. Only breathes heavily, trying to stay focused. At the same time, a quiet weeping can be heard from the basket. One of the ruffians takes the lid off, only to see a scared child.
Hey, boss! There's a child in there! What? To hell with it. Still, take it. Maybe someone will pay a good price for her. And you.
The chief levels with the rogue, putting one knee on the ground.
You seem awfully calm. That's not how I like it. Yet your eyes. I know that look. Haha. Not a challenge to beat an old man, but hey, I take what I can get. Boys, take the child. We will have some fun.
Face of the rogue doesn't change. His expression remains the same. But the chief has a good eye. He recognizes the fury behind this mask. He expects the rogue to fight when the child won't be around. And on the chief's face it can be seen. He craves for violence. He wants to beat this feeble old man, but also to see him struggle, cry for help, and lose hope as the life will be beaten out of him. The two bandits grab the child and cover its face as it starts to scream. In case this would catch some attention from the outside, the two men run down the alley. The chief stands up in the meantime, and with a sadistic smile, looks at the rogue.
Before you say your last prayers, old man, it pains me not to know. Tell me, why aren't you scared of death?
The rogue, in response, only raises his head and instantly stops his heavy breathing. The two men ran with the child, discussing how much gold they could get by selling it. Human, unable to scream, starts crying from all of it. Her mouth hurts, it becomes harder for her to breathe. The man is holding her too strong.
Oh, stop crying, you little bastard! If you don't shut up, I'm gonna break your kneecaps and punch your teeth out!
Human cannot stop crying. She's now scared more than ever. To muffle her scream, she puts her face closer to the bandit's chest and screams in fear as strong as she can. The shock, the trauma she got from it. Then she remembers. The last words she heard from the mister. She closes her eyes, tries to not think about all of this. The running, the man's breathing. She starts to isolate herself from it. At one point, a complete silence. She hears nothing, feels no pain, no crushing grip on her. She doesn't know what happened. Is she dead? Is she asleep? She doesn't care about all of this. Her heart stops pounding. She is calm, but still weeps a little. The only thing she feels now is the man holding her, but softly. Then, in the silence, she hears a familiar voice, coming from somewhere she doesn't know, echoing in her head. Why are you crying? Everything is all right. I told you, I will always be there. Always will be watching. Always just behind you. As the rogue ends his talk, his voice becomes clear, and the last words the human hears as if he was here. She then opens her eyes, gasps in shock. Nothing hurts. She isn't running. Her position remains the same. As she looks up to see the bandit, she sees the face of the rogue, holding her instead. Did something happen? You seem a little tired. Got you some fresh air, but now we're going deep into the city. Come, rest in the basket. I found something to make it more comfortable. Human feels odd, as if she just woke up. She remembers everything. The running, the pain, crying, and a bad man threatening her. At the same time, it feels so distant, as if it never happened. She wipes her tears and smiles looking at the rogue as he carefully puts her in the basket. In there, few pieces of rags, enough to make it pleasant to lay on. Rest, human. You need it. The rogue turns around and goes back to the entrance of the alley. Decides to go through it, but to take another path, leading towards the center of the city. As he leaves this place, corpses are left behind. The ruffians, all dead. A bloodbath. Their bodies dismembered, the alley soaked in blood. There's too much of it, it's unnatural. A horrid and unsettling sight. No human could have done this. But, if looked at closely, most damage was made by a blade. The rogue, unfazed by this scenery, avoids the bodies, goes on his way. His boots remain clean of the blood no matter where he steps, but still, his pain, it didn't disappear. He hides it as much as he can, but it's just too much. For him, it seems he never felt like this ever before. To reach his mysterious destination, he now holds the wall and moves slowly. Tries to remain focused and not faint due to the pain.